Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. We left off Mashpaka at Chazon, Revelation chapter 1, verse 12 through 16. And we left off talking about what he looks like and what we are going to look like. Making this to bring into the context of who we are. And what Yahuwah, what purpose Yahuwah is going to use us for. What purpose he's going to use us for. Looking back again at the title of this teaching, war is coming. Prepare yourselves. Yahudah goes first. Yahudah goes first. And Abba has been laying the foundation, trying to show us who we are. Trying to show us who we are. Trying to show us who we truly are. And perhaps what we're going to look like. What we're going to look like. So I'm going to read Chazon chapter 1, verse 12 through 16 again. I'm going to read that again. Chazon, Revelation chapter 1, verse 12 through 16. Chazon, Revelation chapter 1, verse 12 through 16. We stopped off here, but I think it's important that we read this again because of the next precept. Because of the next precept. Revelation chapter 1, verse 12 through 16. And I turned to see the voice which spoke with me. And having turned, I saw 7 golden lampstands. And in the midst of the 7 lampstands, one like the son of Adam, dressed in a robe down to the feet, and girded about the chest with a golden band. And his head and hair were white as white wool, as snow, and his eyes as a flame of fire, and his feet like burnished brass, as if refined in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. And in his right hand he held 7 stars, and out of his mouth went a sharp, 2-edged sword. And his face was as the sun shining in its strength. His face was as the sun shining in its strength. Before we shut down for our 9th hour offering, I asked the question, who is the son of Adam? Yahuwah is Yahuwah. Yahuwah is Yahuwah. That's who he is. He is the all-existent one. And Yahuwah and Yahusha are the same. They are Ankar. And so if Yahusha is Yahuwah, I asked the question, who is the son of Adam? And someone correctly answered, we are. We are. And so if this is the appearance of the son of Adam, this should cause you to understand who we are and who we are being shaped and molded and reconformed to be. This is who we are. This is who we are. You don't believe me yet, but we're going to read it. We're going to read a few more precepts. This is who we are. This is who we are. I don't know if I have those precepts in here, but if any of you have ever read the Forgotten Books of Adam and Kua, one thing that you should take away from reading that is that Adam, when he was born, he had what? He had the very bright nature of Yahuwah. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Adam had the very bright nature of Yahuwah himself. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And that bright nature was taken away from him when he fell. But Yahuwah is trying to prepare a remnant. I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let me read this first. Let me read this precept first before I go into that. Let me read this precept first. Matthew chapter 13. Matthew chapter 13, verse 36 through 43. Matthew chapter 13, verse 36 through 43. Matthew, Matat Yahu, chapter 13, verse 36 through 43. You see, we're being restored back to our bright nature. See, this is what this is all about. We're being restored back to our bright nature, that bright nature that Adam had. We're being restored back to that bright nature, if you can understand that. And if you could understand that the son of Adam is us, that's our bright nature. That's the bright nature in which we're supposed to have, because like father, like son. I pray you understand. Like father, like son. For father has a bright nature. If his face, if he is light and he dwells in unapproachable light, then our faces too are to shine like the sun. Masha was a precursor. Masha was a foreshadowing when his face shone when he went into the presence of Yahuwah. So let's look at Matthew chapter 13, verse 36 through 43. Then having sent the crowds away, Yahusha went into the house, and his taught ones came to him, saying, explain to us the parable of the darnel of the fields. And he answered and said to them, and this ought to sound familiar for those who were present on the fourth night, with respect to the fishermen and the hunters, Barak Yahuwah. He who is sowing the good seed is the son of Adam, and the field is the world. And the good seed, these are the sons of the rain. These are the sons of the rain. But the darnel are the sons of the wicked one. And the enemy who sold them is the devil, and the harvest is the end of the age. And the reapers are the messengers. As the darnel then is gathered and burned in the fire, so it shall be at the end of this age. The son of Adam shall send out his messengers, and they shall gather out of his reign all stumbling blocks, and those doing lawlessness, and those doing lawlessness. This should sound familiar because you read this very same language in Matat Yahu, the 24th chapter, when it reads there, and this should be familiar to those who were present on the fourth night, that immediately after the distress of those days, he's going to do what? Send his messengers to the four corners of the Arats to gather his elect, to gather his chosen people. And the point was made on the fourth night that these chosen are those, you have to read that in connection with Revelation chapter 12, specifically when the remnant, when the woman was brought out to the wilderness, and the adversary went after her, trying to overcome her. But when he could not overcome her, he did what? He turned from her and went back to the remnant of her seed, those guarding the commands of Yahuwah and having the witness of Yahusha HaMashiach. Abba showed us that chosen, that elect that comes when he sends his messengers out after the great distress. These are those. These are those who have survived the great distress. These are those who have survived. These are those who are coming out, the remnant of the nations. These are those who are coming out. But the woman that went to the wilderness in the first place, what he wants you to understand is that the woman is the remnant. She is the first fruit. She is the first fruit. If you read Chazon, the 14th chapter, someone go there for me, please, and read Chazon, the 14th chapter. And I think I want you to read verses maybe 1 through 7. Somebody go there real quickly and read it for me, please. Chazon, the 14th chapter.
You ready, Elder?
Yes, sir.
And I looked and I saw a lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000 having his father's name written upon their forehead. And I heard a voice out of the Shamayim like a voice of many waters, and like the voice of the loud thunder I heard the sound of the harpists playing their harps. And they sang a renewed song before the throne and before the four living creatures and the elders, and no one was able to learn the song except the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth. They are those who were not defiled with women, for they are maidens. They are those following the Lamb wherever he goes. They were redeemed from among men, being the first fruits to Yahuwah and
being what? Lamb. Being what?
The first fruits to Yahuwah and to the Lamb.
Okay, you can stop right there. You can stop right there. That's my point. That's my point. That's the remnant. That's the remnant. They are first fruits. Abba wants us to understand that Yashar indeed is his first fruit. But there is a first fruit of the first fruits. Just like the Mashiach was the first fruit of a coming harvest of first fruits. 144,000, those attached to them, are also a first fruit of a coming first fruit. Of a coming first fruit. First fruit is representation of the first resurrection. Of the first resurrection. Only first fruits are going to rise in the first resurrection. And so I wanted to speak that to you so that you can understand what's getting ready to be said here. Because that first fruit of the first fruits, it is my belief, they are going to be given this bright nature in order to be a punishing rod in their rods, to fight and to war, to be his punishing rod and to be his scepter before the rest of the first fruit is gathered here. It's gathered here. So with that understanding, let me read on. The son of Adam shall send out his messengers, and they shall gather out of his reign all the stumbling blocks and those doing lawlessness. And again, indeed, this is, you have to read this in connection with Matthew 24 at the end of the great distress, when he sends out his messengers to the four corner to gather those who have survived the great distress, and shall throw them into the furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of teeth. Listen, then the righteous shall shine forth as the sun. Then the righteous shall shine forth as the sun in the reign of their Father. He who has the ears to hear, let him hear. Do you have ears to hear, Mashpaka? Do you understand who you are? If he's shown as the sun, we're going to shine as the sun. Do you understand? Come on, talk back to me.
Yes.
Yes, Yahudah.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. But we're talking about a remnant now, because he ain't preparing everybody for war. He's not preparing everybody for war. No, he's not. We're talking about a remnant. We're talking about here those who have ears to hear, let them hear. We're talking about a remnant that he is preparing now to be a fighting arm. To be a fighting arm. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Malachi, the 4th chapter, verse 1 and 2. Malachi, the 4th chapter, verse 1 and 2. Barak Yahuwah, I do have that precept from the forgotten books of Adam and Kuah. I do have that precept. Barak Yahuwah. Malachi chapter 4, verse 1 and 2. Beginning at verse 1. For look, the day shall come, burning like a furnace, and all the proud and every wrongdoer shall be stubble. And the day that shall come shall burn them up, said Yahuwah of hosts, which leaves to them neither root nor branch. But to you who revere my name, the Son of Righteousness shall arise with healing in his wings, and you shall go out and leap for gladness, like calves from the stall. Like calves from the stall. So as previously mentioned, we are being restored to our former state. And it is my belief that he is preparing a remnant who is going to be the first fruits of the first fruits, whom he's going to use as a punishing rod in this season, to go to war against the nations and to go to war against the serpent, to go to war. And so he is restoring us to our former state. We're being restored to our former state. And so those of you who have the forgotten books of Adam and Kuah, those of you who have this, the first book of Adam and Kuah, those of you who have it, and I'll wait, I'll allow you to get it. If you don't have it in a physical copy, you can go to Google right now and Google it and get a PDF. I think there it's called the first book of Adam and Eve. The Forgotten Books of Eden. The Forgotten Books of Eden. But I think it's more accurately called the first book of Adam and Kuah and the second book of Adam and Kuah. So here we're in the first book of Adam and Kuah, chapter 8. Chapter 8. I'll wait till you catch up and find it. The first book of Adam and Kuah, chapter 8. Chapter 8. It says there, while you're catching up, the title of that chapter is "The Bright Nature of Man is Taken Away." The bright nature of man is taken away. This is what he wants you to understand. He wants you to understand who you are, who you were created to be, and who we're being restored to be, and what part that is going to play in this coming season. As war is coming, we have to prepare ourselves. Yahudah goes first. Yahudah goes first. And so, again, the title of this chapter is "The Bright Nature of Man is Taken Away." Chapter 8 of the first book of Adam and Kua. The bright nature of man is taken away. Abba told us that this is how we were created. We were created with his bright nature. Yes, we were. We were created with his very bright nature. And we are being restored to this bright nature. And it is my belief that we're going to operate in some of this bright nature in the coming season. But he's preparing us for this bright nature. He is preparing us. He is preparing a remnant to receive this bright nature. He is preparing a first fruit of the first fruit to receive this bright nature. We're going to have this bright nature. We've been talking about that latter rain. Yes, we have. We've been talking about that Akarit Kasham. Yes, we have. We've been talking about this for months now. We've been talking about latter rain. What you think this is? We've been talking about it. He's been preparing us for that latter rain, for Akarit Kasham, for a remnant to have some of that bright nature to go to war. Unless we have that bright nature, unless we have that type of anointing, we're not going to be of use. We're not going to be able to be his fighting arm. No, we're not. No, we're not. So reading this, you should all have it now. Chapter 8 of the first book of Adam and Kua. I'm going to read this chapter in its entirety. Then Adam wept and said, "O Yahuwah, when we dwelt in the garden and our hearts were lifted up, we saw the messengers that sang praises in the Shamayim. But now we do not see as we were used to. We do not see. Let me start over. But now we do not see as we were used to, as we are used to do." This is where it reads. "Nay, when we entered the cave, all creation became hidden from us. Then Yahuwah Elohim said unto Adam, when thou wast under subjection to me," listen, Mashaka, because this is what he's doing. He's bringing a remnant out of the nations under subjection of him. He's restoring us to the ancient past. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He's restoring us to the ancient past and bringing us back into the bond of covenant. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Listen, when thou was under subjection to me, thou hadst a bright nature within thee. Thou hadst a bright nature within thee. Indeed, he's preparing us. If you can understand this, he is preparing us for this, to go out and fight, because we're going to have a lot of his bright nature in order to be used as this Shabbat. And for that reason, couldst thou see things afar off. But after thy transgression, listen, but after thy transgression, thy bright nature was withdrawn from thee. And it was not left to thee to see things afar off, but only near at hand, after the ability of the flesh. After the ability of the flesh, for it is Brutus. See, we're not of the flesh. If we are sons of Yahuwah, sons and daughters of Yahuwah, we're not of the flesh anymore. We're no longer of the flesh. But there's an anointing that's coming. There's some bright nature that's coming to where we ain't gonna no longer operate in the flesh at all. No, we're not. We're no longer going to operate in the flesh at all. We're going to operate in the bright nature of Yahuwah. The bright nature of Yahuwah. And we're going to be his punishing rod. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Question is, can you make it out of boot camp? Can you make it out of boot camp? That's the question. Are you going to be able to make it out of boot camp? Are you going to be able to survive these simulated battles? These simulated skirmishes? Are you going to be able to make it out of there and be proven worthy to be a part of this army? To be a part of this army. That's the question. That's the question. Barak Yahuwah. When Adam and Kua had heard these words from Yahuwah, they went their way, praising and worshiping him with a sorrowful heart. And Yahuwah ceased to commune with them. cease to commune with them. I don't know if that's a whole chapter or not, but I have 4 verses here. Turning now to chapter 13. Same book, the first book of Adam and Kua. Turn to chapter 13. Turn to chapter 13. Chapter 13. Beginning at verse 1. Then when Elohim, who is compassionate and full of pity, heard Adam's voice, he said unto him, O Adam, so long as the good messenger was obedient to me, a bright light rested on him and on his host. A bright light rested on him and on his host. We're talking about Hashatan here. We're talking about Hashatan. As long as we are obedient to him, and he's taken us to a new level of obedience and a new level of reverence while he's preparing us, trying to prepare us, trying to wash us, trying to do what? As he's been talking to us, trying to cause us to walk in humility and trying to create in us a clean and pure heart so that he can give us some of that bright nature in this season. O Adam, verse 2 again. So long as the good messenger was obedient to me, a bright light rested on him and on his host. Indeed, indeed, he wants that bright light to rest on us so that we are prepared to be in his army. But when he transgressed my commandment, I deprived him of that bright nature. Listen, and he became dark. And he became dark. Indeed, Hashatan is darkness. Hashatan is dark. He is darkness. He is darkness. And when his reign comes, the reign of darkness is coming. Yes, it is. We spoke about this on the 4th night. Hashatan is darkness. And when he comes, the reign of darkness is coming. And so when the reign of darkness to come, in order to fight it, you've got to be what? A child of light. You've got to have Yahuwah's bright nature. You've got to have it. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to stand and fight. You're not going to be his warring Shabbat, his scepter. You're not, unless you have that bright nature, which he's trying to prepare us for. And when he was in the Shamayim and the realms of light, he knew not of darkness. You see, there is a realm of light and there's a realm of darkness. Yahuwah controls the realm of light. He is the master of the realm of light. And Hashatan is the realm of darkness. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. He was turned into darkness. He was turned into literal darkness. Verse 5. But when he transgressed, and I made him fall from Shamayim upon the earth, and it was this darkness that came upon him. This should resonate with Barashit, the 1st chapter. But when he transgressed, and I made him fall from Shamayim upon the earth, and it was this darkness that came upon him. And on thee, O Adam, while in my garden, and obedient to me, did that bright light rest also. Did that bright light rest also? All those precepts that we were reading, this is what it's talking about. This is what it's talking about. We're being restored to this. We're being restored to this. As he is a bright light, that bright light is going to rest on us. Like Father, like Son. But he wants to give some of this bright nature to a remnant. The first fruits of the first fruit. He wants to give some of this to a remnant. To a remnant. Stand by. Barak Yahuwah. He wants to give some of this to a remnant. To a remnant. To a first fruit of a first fruit. In order to be his Shabbat. His warring rod. His punishing rod. In order to war against the serpent. To smash the head of the serpent. And to war against the nations. To complete the job, to finish the job that our ancestors could not or did not complete. And we're going to talk about that down below. Verse 6. And on thee, O Adam, while in my garden and obedient to me, did that bright light rest also. But when I heard of thy transgression, I deprived thee of that bright light. I deprived thee of that bright light. Yet of my compassion, I did not turn thee into darkness. But I made thee thy body of flesh, over which I spread this skin, in order that it may bear cold and heat. If I had let my wrath fall heavily upon thee, I should have destroyed thee, and had I turned thee into darkness. I should have destroyed thee, and had I turned thee into darkness. And so there is no repentance for Hashatan, because he has been turned into darkness. Now, this is mentioned in the book of Abarim, or commonly called Hebrews, that those who have been reborn, and have tasted of the gifts of Shamayim and the things to come. Are you listening? If they should fall, there is no restoring them to repentance. There is no restoring them to repentance. It is my belief that he's talking about this bright nature. This bright nature. Because if you have this bright nature and you fall from that, there is no restoring you. There is no restoring you. He was compassionate to our father Adam. Because Adam, mankind, is the pupil of his eye. We are his portion. We are his kalak. We are his portion. We are his daily bread. We are his offering. So he was compassionate to him. He loved Adam. He still loves Adam. And so he was compassionate to him and did not turn him into darkness like he turned Hashatan into darkness. So he was compassionate. And he came as Adam. He came as Adam, as his son Adam, and walked as Adam, and took on the punishments of Adam. So that why? So that he could then send back his bright nature. So that he could restore Adam to his former state, giving him his bright nature. But again, it is my belief that there's going to be a first fruit of the first fruits who are going to have this bright nature in order to go to war against the adversaries. Against the adversaries. Reading verse 8 again. If I had let my wrath fall heavily upon thee, I should have destroyed thee. And had I turned thee into darkness, it would have been as if I killed thee. Verse 9. But in my compassion, I have made thee as thou art, when thou didst transgress my commandment, O Adam. I drove thee from the garden, and made thee come forth into this land, and commanded thee to dwell in this cave, and darkness came upon thee, as it did upon him who transgressed my commandment. Thus, O Adam, has the night deceived thee. It is not to last forever, but it is only of 12 hours. But it is only of 12 hours. When it is over, daylight will return. Verse 11. Verse 11. I emphasize 12 hours. I'm not going to talk about it, but I emphasize it for a reason. This mashpaka, I don't know why. Verse 11. Sigh not, therefore, neither be moved, and say not in thy heart that this darkness is long and drags on wearily. And say not in thy heart that I plague thee with it. Indeed, the darkness is passing away. It's passing away. Indeed it is. It's passing away. We talked about this on the fourth night. How the darkness is passing away. And light is getting ready to shine. Indeed it is. Indeed it is. Verse 12. Strengthen thy heart and be not afraid. This darkness is not a punishment. But, O Adam, I have made the day and have placed the sun in it to give light, in order that thou and thy children should do your work. Indeed, the day has been given to us to work. This is why we keep the Shabbat. We guard the Shabbat during the day. Because the Shabbat, the meaning of Shabbat is to what? To cease and desist and rest from work. And so if the day has been given us to work, and we are to cease from work on the Shabbat day, then we cease from work during the time where it has been prescribed that we are to work in. Barak Yahuwah. This is when we are to guard the Shabbat. Verse 13. For I knew that thou shouldest commit crime and transgress, and come out into this land. Yet would I not force thee, nor be heard upon thee, nor shut up nor doom thee through thy fall, nor through thy coming out from the light into darkness, nor yet through thy coming from the garden into this land. For I made thee, listen, for I made thee of the light. I made thee of the light. I pray you begin to understand who you are and what we are getting restored to be, even for this season, for the coming war. Because if we don't have this bright nature, we're not going to be able to fight Hashatan and his horde. Some of you still don't believe that, but we got some more precepts to go through. Some of you still don't believe that. Barak Yahuwah. For I made thee of the light, and I will to bring out children of light from thee, and like unto thee. Thus the second Adam came, who is made of light, so that children from him would be children of light, would be produced from him. Barak Yahuwah. For I made thee of the light, and I will to bring out children of light from thee, and like unto thee. This is literal light. This is literal light. I pray you understand from the previous precepts that we have read. But thou didst not keep one day my commandment, until I finished the creation and Baruch everything in it. Then I commanded thee concerning the tree, that thou eat not thereof. Yet I knew that Shaitan, who deceived himself, he's not only a deceiver of mankind, he's a deceiver of himself. Wow. Yet I knew that Shaitan, who deceived himself, would also deceive thee. So I made known to thee by means of the tree not to come near him. And I told thee not to eat of the fruit thereof, not to taste of it, nor yet to sit upon it, nor to yield to it. Had I not been and spoken to thee, O Adam, concerning the tree, and had I left thee without a commandment, and thou hadst committed crime, it would have been an offense on my part, for not giving thee any order. Thou wouldest turn around and blame me for it. But I commanded thee and warned thee. Indeed, he's given us the Torah, so we can't blame him for anything. He's given us the Torah. We cannot blame him for anything if we perish, because he has given us his Torah. But I commanded thee and warned thee, and thou didst fall, and warned thee, and thou didst fall, so that my creatures cannot blame me, but the blame rests on them alone. Verse 20. And, O Adam, I have made the day for thee and for thy children after thee, for them to work and toil therein. And I have made the night for them to rest in it from their work. Again, he's telling us here how to keep the Shabbat. Yes, he is. He's telling us how to keep the Shabbat. And for the beasts of the field to go forth by night and seek their food. But little of darkness now remains, O Adam, and daylight will soon appear. And daylight will soon appear. I'm going to read now chapter 36. Chapter 36. And further establishing who we are. Who we are. And who we're being recreated and being restored to be. And establishing the fact that some of this bright nature has got to be released upon us, a remnant, provided that you survive boot camp, to go forth and to become his punishing rod. His punishing rod. Reading here in chapter 36, listen here. Then Elohim commanded the Karub. The Karub are those who have the flaming sword, who kept the gate of the garden with a sword of fire in his hand, to take some of the fruit of the fig tree and to give it to Adam. The Karub obeyed the command of Yahuwah Elohim and went into the garden and brought 2 figs on 2 twigs, each fig hanging on its leaf. They were from 2 of the trees among which Adam and Kua hid themselves when Elohim went to walk in the garden. And the word of Elohim came to Adam and Kua and said to them, Adam, Adam, where are you? And Adam answered, O Elohim, here am I. When I heard the sound of you and your voice, I hid myself because I am naked. Then the Karub took 2 figs and brought them to Adam and Kua. But he threw them to them from afar, for they might not come near the Karub by reason of their flesh, that could not come near the fire. Listen here, verse 5. At first, messengers trembled at the presence of Adam. Are you listening? Are you understanding who you are? At first, messengers trembled at the presence of Adam and were afraid of him. But now Adam trembled before the messengers and was afraid of them. Then Adam drew near and took 1 fig, and Kua also came in turn and took the order. And as they took them up in their hands, they looked at them and knew that they were from the trees among which they had hidden themselves. In which they had hidden themselves. And so, again, just to reiterate, Mashpaka, it is my belief. I believe this is what Abba has put in my root. I believe when this latter rain comes for a remnant, not everybody's going to receive latter rain. Because he spoke a few months ago that we had to drink of this water, that we had to drink of this rain while the faucet is still on. Because there was going to come a point where he was going to turn off the faucet. He was going to turn off this rain. And so it is my belief that with latter rain, with the Akai Gasham, Yahuwah is going to give us some of that bright nature back. He has to, in order for us to be used as a Shabbat. As a Shabbat, he has to. One cannot come into the presence of Yahuwah and remain the same. To receive latter rain means what? It means we are going to have to come into the presence of Yahuwah to receive it. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. We're going to have to come into his very presence. And if you don't understand by now that nothing unclean can come into his presence, now you can understand the purpose of these messages that he's been teaching, that he's been speaking about, allowing the washing of the word to wash us, about, dealing with the heart, allowing him to cleanse that inner cup, telling us that nothing but the pure in heart shall see him. Nothing but the pure in heart shall see him. Nothing but the pure in heart shall come into his presence. Teaching us about humility, that only through humility will we be exalted. And so teaching us about love, teaching us about the fruit of the root, teaching us all these things, preparing us so that we can receive this latter rain, so that we can receive some of his bright nature, so that we are prepared for the coming war. Indeed, he said, prepare yourselves. He did. He said, prepare yourselves. He said, war is coming. Prepare yourselves. Yahudah goes first. Yahudah goes first. You asking yourself, what does it mean by Yahudah going first? He's going to tell us. He's going to tell us. Turn now to Exodus chapter 34. Exodus chapter 34. Line upon line. Precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. Exodus Shamut, chapter 34. Exodus Shamut, chapter 34. Some of you who have been here a while understand that this message has been spoken before, but there's a different urgency to it now. Thus, he wanted me to speak it again. There's a different urgency to this message. There is a different urgency. There is an urgency, a urgency that we receive this message. Shamut, Exodus chapter 34, verse 29 through 35. Beginning at verse 29. And it came to be, when Moshe came down from Mount Sinai, while the 2 tablets of the witness were in Moshe's hand, when he came down from the mountain, that Moshe did not know that his face shone. That his face shone. Hasn't Abba told you that he was a foreshadowing? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. That his face shone since he had spoken with him. You see, we cannot come into his presence without receiving some of his bright nature, without our faces shining as he is. He is trying to prepare us for this, Mashpaka. He's trying to cleanse our filthy hearts, trying to wash us from the inside out, trying to cause us to come into a deeper level of obedience, trying to cause us to come into a deeper level of reverence, speaking things to us that he ain't speaking to nobody else, so that he can prepare us to come into his presence, so that we can receive some of his bright nature and be used in the season to come as a punishing rod of war. As a punishing rod of war. Reading this again. While the two tablets, I'm going to start from the beginning. And it came to be when Moshe came down from Mount Sinai, while the two tablets of the witness were in Moshe's hand, when he came down from the mountain, that Moshe did not know that the skin of his face shone, since he had spoken with him. And Aharon and all the children of Yasha'al looked at Moshe and saw the skin of his face shone. And they were afraid to come near him, just like they were afraid of Yahusha on the Mount of Transfiguration when his face shone. They were afraid of him as well. And Kaffa being afraid, not knowing what to say. So, Master, let us build 3 booths for you and for all Yahu and Moshe. Not knowing what to say, stumbling over his words, just afraid and not knowing what to say. And so he said the first thing that came to his mind, trying to put Yahusha in the same category as Moshe and all Yahu, talking about let me build 3 booths for you 3. And Yahuwah had to remind him, this is my beloved son. Hear him. Listen to him. But Moshe called out to them, and Aharon and all the rulers of the congregation returned to him. And Moshe spoke to them. And afterwards all the children of Yasha'al came near, and he commanded them all that Yahuwah had spoken with him on Mount Sinai. And when Moshe ended speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But whenever Moshe went in before Yahuwah to speak with him, he would remove the veil until he came out. And when he came out, he spoke to the children of Yasha'al what he had been commanded. And the children of Yasha'al would see the face of Moshe, that the skin of Moshe's face shone. Shone. I pray you're getting this. I pray you're understanding. Shone. And Moshe would put the veil on his face again until he went to speak with him. Until he went to speak with him. So looking, somebody read again. Actually, no, I'm going to read it. Let me go back up. I'm going to go back up to Jeremiah, the 10th chapter, verse 16. Verse 16. The portion, Kalak, of Yakub is not like these. For he is the maker of all, and Yasha'al is the rod Shabbat of his inheritance. If his inheritance, Naklah, Yahuwah of hosts is his name. Yahuwah of hosts is his name. Now we're going to take a closer look at Naklah. At the Abarite word, Naklah. We're going to take a closer look at that word. Barak Yahuwah. We're going to take a closer look at Naklah. At Naklah. Let me get back to my place. All right. So Naklah is again, it's Nun, Kot, Lamed, Hey. Nun, Kot, Lamed, and Hey. Naklah. Actually, it's Nak'Allah. Nak'Allah. And it means, it is Strong's number Hebrew 5159. And it means, in its usual sense, properly something inherited. That is, abstractly, occupancy, or concretely an heirloom. An heirloom. And he had me read up earlier that an heirloom is thought about in the sense of being something that is very valuable, that is passed down throughout the generations. Abba showed us that indeed we are that valuable heirloom that were the pupil of his eye before we were placed in our mother's womb. We were the pupil of his eye before we were placed in our mother's womb. We are his heirloom. We are valuable to him. Very valuable to him. An heirloom. generally an estate, patrimony, or portion, And he spoke to what portion means. He spoke to what portion means. We are his daily bread. We are his daily bread. We are his portion. And when we give him the bulls of our lips, indeed, he is fed. He is fed. We're bringing him the best that splits the womb, the first that splits the womb. We're bringing him the first of the oil and of the wine, the best of the oil and of the wine and of the bread. When we bring him his food, the bulls of our lips. Reading on, it says heritage, to inherit, inheritance, possession, property, inheritance. And so looking at Nakala and breaking it down, it is comprised of the Abrahamic letter Nun and Kat and Lamet and Hey. Nun and Kat and Lamet and Hey. Listen. We are his inheritance, his heirloom, his portion in which the word Nakala relays. But let's break this word down in the Abrahamic letters. Let's break down each individual Abrahamic letter. Nun, Kat, Lamet, Hey. We understand that Nun is represented by what? Seed as in progeny, seed, continue, heir, and descendant. Seed, continue, heir, and descendant. Kat is represented by a fence. Lamet is represented by a shepherd's staff. Hey is represented by arms raised, look, reveal, and breath. And so what he wants us to understand is that in Yasha'al, and this is not an all-exclusive club, what Abba wants mankind to understand is that Yasha'al is the representation of the remnant of mankind. And so in order for mankind to be delivered, mankind must what? They must engraft into Yasha'al through the Hamashiach, through the second Adam, whereby becoming seed, whereby becoming progeny, whereby becoming his valuable heirloom. So what he wants us to understand is that in Yasha'al is revealed the seed of Yah. Is revealed his progeny, the seed of Yahuwah, his heirs to the throne. We spoke about this earlier in this message, how he's going to use this Shabbat to rule through this Shabbat, through this rod, which is Yasha'al, as a rod of iron to rule the nations. And so Yasha'al, we are the heirs to the throne. Yes, we are. Yasha'al meaning to rule with Elohim. He showed us a couple of Shabbats ago that in the example of Yahusuf and how he was exalted to the throne and how the only throne that was above his was the throne of Par'ah. The only throne that is going to be above ours is the throne of Yahuwah's. We understand that Yahusuf is what? He is the firstborn. Yahusuf is the firstborn. He carries the name of his father. So in that example, Yahuwah showed us that through servitude like Yahusuf, through being a servant like Yahusuf, this is the way in which we're going to be exalted or return to our rightful place as rulers. So in Nakala, we see here. Oh, come on. I lost my place. I'm going to have to go back to it. There it is. I didn't go too far. Barak Yahuwah. So in Nakala, what we find is that Yasha'al, in Yasha'al is revealed the seed of Yahuwah, his heirs to the throne. We who have his breath. Do you understand? This is what is revealed in Hey, in the Abrahamic letter Hey. It means arms raised, look, reveal, breath. We who have his breath. We are his sheep, whom he shepherds. and keep safely within his fence. The cot. This is what cot represents. We are his sheep. We are his inheritance. Indeed, sheep were passed down through the fathers as a valuable inheritance. Indeed, Ishkak gave all his flocks and herds to Yaakov. Abraham gave all of his flocks and herds to Ishkak. He gave it all to him. He gave it all to him. He gave all the flocks and herds to him. With Yaakov, he didn't get the inheritance of Ishkak because Esau chose that. He chose that over the land. He chose that over the land. The land is another inheritance. It is a very valuable heirloom. So he chose flocks and herds over the land itself. Nevertheless, we are his sheep. We are his inheritance. Sheep equal wealth. Sheep equal wealth. If you don't understand wealth in a scriptural sense, sheep equal wealth. You see, you can't eat silver and gold. You can't eat silver and gold, but you can eat sheep. You can eat sheep. You see, sheep equals wealth. Sheep equals life because you can eat sheep and live. So in a scriptural sense, wealth was gauged not by silver and gold. Wealth was gauged by how large your flocks and herds were and how well your fields were producing. This is how wealth was gauged. And so by this we understand, by this analogy, we understand that sheep equals wealth. And so we are valuable unto him. Those who have his breath, we are valuable to him, very valuable to him. And he wants to use us. He wants to use us as a punishing rod in the earth. Indeed, we are valuable to him like a valuable heirloom. Like a valuable heirloom. Nevertheless, we are being prepared to be Yahuwah's fighting scepter, his rod of war. We are his rod. But we're going to have some of that bright nature again. We're going to have some of that bright nature again. And so we are his fighting scepter, his rod of war. As we begin to peel back some more of this onion now, turn to 2 Baruch if you have it. 2 Baruch, the 70th chapter, 70. 2 Baruch, the 70th chapter, 70. Those of you who have it, if you don't have it, you can also go to Google and PDF it. You can get a PDF copy of it for free. 2 Baruch, the 70th chapter, 70. 2 Baruch, the 70th chapter, 70. 70. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. 2 Baruch, 70. 2 Baruch, 70. 70. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. And I'm gauging you by my Aisha. She's still flipping pages, so I'm gauging you by her. Barak, okay, she good now. All right, Barak Yahuwah. 2 Baruch 70, verse 1 through 10. Listen, hear therefore the interpretation of the last black waters, which are to come after the black. This is the word. Behold, the days come, and it shall be, when the time of the age has ripened, and the harvest of its evil and good seeds has come, that all Elohim will bring upon the earth and its inhabitants, and upon its rulers, perturbation of the ruach, and stupor of heart. And they shall hate one another, and provoke one another to fight. Listen here. And the mean shall rule over the honorable, and those of low degree shall be extolled above the famous. And the many shall be delivered into the hands of the few, and those who were nothing shall rule over the strong, and the poor shall have abundance beyond the rich, and the impious shall exalt themselves above the heroic. And the cockam, the prudent, shall be silent. And the prudent shall be silent, and the foolish shall speak. Neither shall the thought of men be then confirmed, nor the counsel of the mighty, nor shall the expectation of those who expect be confirmed. And when those things which were predicted have come to pass, then shall confusion fall upon all men. We talked about this on the fourth day. How confusion is the same as darkness. It is the same as distress. It is the same as chaos. We spoke about this on the fourth day. How this distress, this darkness, this confusion, this chaos is coming upon the earth, and how he is preparing fishermen to go out and fish. And then he's going to send hunters. He's going to send hunters. But what are we going to be doing when he sends the hunters? When he sends the hunters, then shall confusion, then shall chaos, then shall distress, then shall darkness fall upon all men. And some of them shall fall in battle, and some of them shall perish in anguish, and some of them shall be destroyed by their own. Listen. Then all Ayun will reveal those peoples whom he has prepared before, and they shall come and make war with the leaders that shall then be left. Remember Yahu chapter 51, his battle axe. Yahu chapter 16, his Shabbat. See, we're not out here, we're not making a lot of noise. That's why Abba has been speaking through his servant to speak to you and to tell you not to get ahead of him, to rest in his womb, to allow him to prepare you, to prepare us for this time, because this mission is too important to fail. Barak Yahuwah. Then all Ayun will reveal those people whom he has prepared before, and they shall come and make war with the leaders that shall then be left. And it shall come to pass that whosoever gets safe out of the war shall die in the earthquake, and whosoever gets safe out of the earthquake shall be burned by the fire, and whosoever gets safe out of the fire shall be destroyed by famine. And it shall come to pass that whosoever of the victors and the vanquished gets safe out of and escapes all these things aforesaid shall be delivered into the hands of my servant Mashiach, for all the earth shall devour its inhabitants. So even before he comes, we're going to be fighting. Yes, we are. We're going to be used as his fighting rod. Yes, we are. Even before he comes, when he comes, we're going to be fighting. Yes, we are. We're going to read another precept to testify as to that. When he comes, we're going to be fighting. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Question is, are you going to make it out of boot camp into that army? Will you make it out of boot camp into that army? Turn it up to Baruch, the next chapter, chapter 71. To Baruch, chapter 71, verse 1 through 3. To Baruch, chapter 71, verse 1 through 3. Oh, Barak Yahuwah. Oh, Barak Yahuwah, Barak Yahuwah. Reading at verse 1, beginning at verse 1. And the Kadosh land shall have compassion on its own, and it shall protect its inhabitants at that time. At that time. Again, these are those, the woman who went to the wilderness. These are those who in Chazon chapter 3, where it says he was going to keep some from the hour of trial. we find the number of those in Chazon chapter 3 and Chazon chapter 7 as 144,000. We find in Chazon chapter 14 that these are the first fruits, those redeemed from the earth. Those redeemed from the earth. And so it is my belief, I believe what Abba has shown me, is that he's going to bring a remnant back to the land. He is going to bring a first fruit of the first fruit back to the land. Back to the land. This goes hand in hand with Chazon chapter 3 and Chazon chapter 7 and Chazon chapter 12 and Chazon chapter 14. Listen. And the Kadosh land shall have compassion on its own, and it shall protect its inhabitants at that time. This is the vision which you have seen, and this is the interpretation. For I have come to tell you these things, because your prayer has been heard with all Yum. Yeshayahu, Isaiah chapter 28. Turn to Isaiah chapter 28. Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, to convince you who you are. To convince you who you are and of the role that we are going to play. Line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Yeshayahu, the 28th chapter. Isaiah, the 28th chapter. Isaiah, the 28th chapter. Verses 16 through 17. Verses 16 through 17. Reading beginning at verse 16. I'm gauging you by my Aisha. She's still looking. I'm gazing you by my Aisha. She wondering why I'm putting her on blast. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Somebody say, come on, Ashiya.
Come on, Ashiya.
Come on, mother. Barak Yahuwah. Isaiah 28, chapter 16 and 17. Therefore, thus says the Master Yahuwah, see, I am laying in Zion, listen here, listen. I am laying in Zion a stone for a foundation. The word here for stone is the Abarit word Aban. Aban, write that down. Aban. I am laying in Zion a Aban, a stone, A-B-A-N, Aban, for a foundation. A tried stone, a precious cornerstone, a settled foundation. He who trusts shall not hasten away, and I shall make right ruling the measuring line, and righteousness the plummet, and the hail shall sweep away the refuge of lying, and the hail shall sweep away the refuge of lying, and the waters overflow the hiding place. The hiding place. Turn to Yeshayahu chapter 41. Yeshayahu, Isaiah chapter 41. Chapter 41. I was going somewhere. Just line by line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, so that you have absolutely no doubt as to who you are and the purpose that we are going to serve and what it is that Yahuwah is trying to prepare us for. Yeshayahu, Isaiah chapter 41, verse 1 through 16. Yeshayahu, Isaiah chapter 41, verse 1 through 16. Beginning at verse 1. Be silent before me, you coastlines, and let peoples renew their power. Let them come near, then let them speak. Let us come together for right ruling. Who raised up the righteous one from the east, called them to his foot, gave the nations before him, and made sovereigns submit to him. He gave them as the dust to his sword. Are you listening? Are you listening? I pray you're listening. He gave them as the dust to his sword, and has driven stubble to his bow. Let me read this again. Let me read it again, because I want you to get this. Who raised up the righteous one from the east. Who is this righteous one? He's talking about Yahshua. Called them to his foot, gave the nations before him, and made sovereigns submit to him. He gave them as the dust to his sword, and has driven stubble to his bow. He pursued them, passed over in safety by a path that he had not gone with his feet. Who has performed and done it, calling the generations from the beginning? I, Yahuwah, am the first, and with the last, I am he. And with the last, I am he. He is the first, right? And he says, with the last, I am he. Now, if you read 2 Esdras, it says what? That Esau is the beginning of the world. And Yaqub is the beginning of it that follows. Isn't that what it says? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Here he says, with the first, I am he. And with the last, I am he. With the last, I am he. So he is the first, and with the last is he. And with the last is he. Again, in 2 Esdras it reads that Esau is the beginning of the world. And also, Esau is the beginning of the world, and Yaqub is the end of it, is the beginning of it that follows. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Who has performed and done it, calling the generations from the beginning? I, Yahuwah, am the first, and with the last, I am he. Coastlines see it and fear. The ends of the earth are afraid. They draw near and come. Everyone helps his neighbor and says to his brother, be strong. And the craftsman strengthens the goldsmith. He who smooths with the hammer inspires him who strikes the anvil, saying of the joining, it is good. And he strengthens it with nails, so it does not totter. But you, Yahshua, are my servant, Yaqub, whom I have chosen, the descendants of Abraham, who love me, whom I have strengthened from the ends of the earth, and called from its farthest parts, and said to you, you are my servant, I have chosen you, and have not rejected you. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not look around, for I am your Elohim. I shall fortify you. I shall also help you. I shall also uphold you with the right hand of my righteousness. See, all those who raged against you are ashamed and blush. They are as non-existent. And the men who strive with you perish. You seek them, but do not find them. Those who struggle with you, those who fight you, are as non-existent, as naught. For I, Yahuwah your Elohim, am strengthening your right hand, saying to you, do not fear, I shall help you. Do not fear, you worm Yaqub, you men of Yahshua, I shall help you, declares Yahuwah, and your Redeemer, the Kadosh one of Yahshua. See, listen, see, I shall make you into a new threshing sledge with sharp teeth. Let you thresh mountains and beat them small and make hills like chaff. I pray you're listening. You winnow them. The wind lifts them up and the whirlwind scatters them. But you celebrate in Yahuwah and boast in the Kadosh one of Yahshua. Oh, I pray you're getting this. I pray you're understanding. Oh, he's going to use this punishing rod. He's going to use this punishing rod if you make it out of boot camp. Turn to Daniel chapter 2. Daniel chapter 2. Line upon line. Precept upon precept. Here a little. There a little. Daniel chapter 2. Daniel chapter 2. You there, Ashia?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, we can go now. We can go. Ashiya is there, so I assume everybody else is there. Barak Yahuwah. Daniel chapter 2, verses 30 through 35. As for me, this secret has not been revealed to me because I have more chokmah than anyone living. But for our sakes, who make known the interpretation to the sovereign, and that you should know the thoughts of your heart. You, O sovereign, were looking on and saw a great image. This great image and its brightness, excellent, was standing before you, and its form was awesome. This image head was of fine gold, its chest and arms of silver, its belly and thighs of bronze, its legs of iron, its feet partly of iron and partly of clay. You were looking on until a stone, O Barak Yahuwah, Aban, again, this is Aban, A-B-A-N, until a stone was cut out without hands, and it smote the image on its feet of iron and clay, and broke them into pieces. Abba keeps telling you how we're going to be used. You're saying, well, this stone, is that Yasha'al? Keep listening. Keep on listening. I mean, he's been trying. Abba's been trying to lay his case, line upon line, precept upon precept, telling us that he's going to use us to war against the nations. He just said it in the chapter above. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Listen here. Until a stone was cut out without hands, and it smote the image on his feet of iron and clay, and broke them in pieces. Then the iron, the clay, the bronze, the silver, and the gold were crushed together, and it became like chaff from the summer threshing floors. Did he not just say he's going to use us to thresh the nations? Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And the wind took them away, so that no trace of them was found. And the stone that smote the image became a great mountain, and filled all the earth. And the stone, the Aban that smote the image, became a great mountain, and filled all the earth. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. You see, Mishpachah, Yahuwah cares nothing for our ancestry. No, he doesn't. He cares nothing for our ancestry. We must become what? Living stones. We must become living stones. We must become Abanim. We must become Abanim. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We must become that stone by which he wants to use to crush. Living stones. Abanim. Yes, we do. Turn to Matthew chapter 3. Turn to Matthew chapter 3. Turn to Matthew chapter 3. Matayahu, Matthew chapter 3. I still see pages turning, so I'll wait. I'm going to put Ephraim on spot this time. I'm going to put Ephraim on blast this time.
Thank you.
Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Matthew chapter 3, verse 9. Listen. And do not think to say to yourselves, we have Abraham as father. For I say to you that Elohim is able to raise up children. Children. Now the word for children, the Abarit word for children, see, this whole text is a play on words. It's a play on words. That Elohim is able to raise up children, and the Abarit word for children is Bani. 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 To Abraham from these stones. Abani. Abani. You see, this is a play on words. This is a play on words. We must become living stones. Living stones. Now, if our father is a living stone, we must become living stones. Now, listen now. Now, I'm not going to get ahead of myself. I'm not going to get ahead of myself. This is real juicy and rich, but I don't want to get ahead of myself. So, we must become living stones. That stone by which he wants to crush the nations. This is what he's preparing us for. This is what he's preparing us for. To be Abanim. 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 And to be Abanim, we must be born from Aban. Aban. Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. So he wants to use that stone to crush. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Turn to John, the 1st chapter, verse 12 and 13. John, the 1st chapter, verse 12 and 13. John, the 1st chapter, verse 12 and 13. So that previous chapter is a play on words. It's a play on words. Banim and Abanim. Banim and Abanim. I'm reading these to show you how that stone cut without hands is going to be used to crush the nations. To crush the nations, to war against the nations. That stone, that Aban, he wants to use Abanim, living stones to crush. John, the 1st chapter, verse 12 and 13. But as many as received them, to them he gave the authority to become children. Banim of Elohim. Abanim. Yes, if he's a living stone, we're living stones. As he said, do not think to say that Elohim is able to. Do not think to say that I have Abraham as my father, as a father. For I say to you that Elohim is able to raise up children Banim to Abraham from these stones. Abanim, from these stones. From these stones. If he is a living stone, a precious stone, a tried stone, a chief cornerstone, and we are his children, what does that make us? Abanim, living stones. I pray you're getting this. I pray you're understanding. But as many as received him, to them he gave the authority to become children by name of Elohim, to those believing in his name, who were born not of blood, not of the desire of flesh, nor of the desire of man, but of Elohim. But of Elohim. Barak Yahuwah. Turn to 1 Peter, the 2nd chapter. Turn to 1 Peter, the 2nd chapter. He's still stating his case. He's still laying the foundation. I pray by now you're understanding who you are. Who you are. 1 Peter, the 2nd chapter. 1 Peter, the 2nd chapter. First Peter, the 2nd chapter, verses 1 through 10. Verses 1 through 10. Beginning at verse 1. Listen here. Having put aside then all evil and all deceit and hypocrisies and envyings and all evil words, as newborn babes, desire the unadulterated milk of the word, in order that you grow by it, if indeed you have tasted that the master is good. Listen. Drawing near to him a living stone, Aban, Aban. Now again, this should open your eyes as to that stone being cut out to crush the nations. I was trying to tell you who we are. He's trying to tell you. Drawing near to him a living stone, Aban, rejected indeed by men, but chosen by Elohim and precious. You also, as living stones, Abanim, as living stones. If he's a living stone, we're living stones, provided you've been born from him, Barak Yahuwah. And this is what he's trying to prepare us to be, living stones to crush. You also, as living stones, Abanim, are being built up a spiritual house, a Kadosh priesthood, Kahanah, to offer up spiritual slaughter offerings, acceptable to Elohim through Yahushua HaMashiach. Because it is contained in the scripture. Listen, see, I lay in Zion a chief cornerstone. A chief cornerstone, chosen, precious, and he who believes on him shall by no means be put to shame. This preciousness, then, is for you who believe, but to those who are disobedient, the stone, Aban, which the builders rejected, has become the chief cornerstone, Panah, and a stone, Aban, of stumbling, and a rock that makes for falling, who stumbles because they are disobedient to the word, to which they also were appointed. But you are a chosen race, a royal Kahanah, a royal priesthood. Indeed, he spoke earlier that we are royal kahana, we are royal priesthood that is going to rule, with him. A kadosh nation, a people for a possession, that you should proclaim the praises, possession. In other words, we are his kaklak, his kalak, I believe it's somebody correct me, the word, I believe it was kalak, which alludes to being an heirloom, which alludes to being his possession, a valuable heirloom, a people for a possession, that you should proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness into his marvelous light, who once were not a people, but now the people of Elohim, who had not obtained compassion, but now obtain compassion. Turn to Joshua 4, Mishpaka, line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little. Joshua, Yahusha, chapter 4. Joshua, Yahusha, chapter 4. Joshua, Yahusha, chapter 4. He's trying to tell you who you are and how he wants to use us in this season. What that means in Daniel chapter 2, that stone crushing the nations. That stone crushing the nations. As he is a living stone, we are living stones. As he is a living stone, a bond, we are abanim. We are abanim. We are abanim. Joshua chapter 4, verse 1 through 10. And it came to be, when the entire nation had completely passed over the Jordan, that Yahuwah spoke to Yahusha, saying, take for yourselves 12 men from the people, 1 man from every tribe, and command them, saying, take for yourselves 12 stones, abanim, from here, out of the midst of the Jordan, from the place where the Kohanim's feet stood firm. And you shall bring them with you and leave them in the camp in which you spend the night. And Yahusha called the 12 men whom he had appointed from the children of Yasha'al, and 1 man from every tribe. And Yahusha said to them, pass over before the ark of Yahuwah your Elohim into the midst of the Jordan, and each one of you take up a stone and a bond on his shoulder, according to the number of the tribes of the children of Yasha'al, so that this shall be a sign in your midst when your children ask in time to come, saying, what do these stones mean to you? They represent us, because we are his abanim. Yes, we are. We are his living stones, because he is the living stone. And if he is a living stone, and we are born from him, we have his breath, we are living stones. Barak Yahuwah, in which he wants to use to crush the nations. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Then you shall answer them that the waters of the Jordan were cut off before the ark of the covenant of Yahuwah. When it passed over the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were cut off. And these stones, abanim, shall be for a remembrance to the children of Yasha'al forever. Forever. Not only that the waters of the Jordan dried up, but that what else? That we are living stones. Abanim. And the children of Yasha'al did so, as Yahusha commanded, and took up 12 stones, abanim, from the midst of the Jordan, as Yahuwah had spoken to Yahusha, according to the number of the tribes of the children of Yasha'al, and took them over with them to their camp, and laid them down there. Yahusha also set up 12 stones, abanim, in the midst of the Jordan, in the place where the feet of the Kohanim, who bore the ark of the covenant, stood. And they are there to this day. And the Kohanim, who bore the ark, stood in the midst of the Jordan, until every matter was finished that Yahuwah had commanded Yahusha to speak to the people, according to all that Masha had commanded Yahusha. And the people hastened and passed over, line by line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, trying to cause you to understand who you are and the purpose that we are going to feel. Turn to Exodus chapter 28. Exodus chapter 28. Turn to Exodus chapter 28. Exodus chapter 28. Exodus chapter 28. Barak Yahuwah. Oh, Barak Yahuwah. Barak Yahuwah. Verses 15 through 21. Verses 15 through 21. Listen. And you shall make a breastplate of right ruling, a work of a skilled workman, like the work of the shoulder garment. Make of it gold and blue and purple and scarlet material and fine woven linen. It is square, double, a span its length, and a span its width. And you shall put settings of stones, yes, and you shall put settings of stones in it. Yes, we are Abanim, 4 rows of stones, but not only are we stones, we are precious stones to him. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We are his precious stones. Because you know that these stones represented the 12 sons of Jacob. Yes, they did. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Because these same precious stones are going to be on the walls of the city, above the gates of the city. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. We are that stone. We are that stone by which he wants to use to crush the nations. It is square, double, a span in its length, and a span its width. And you shall put settings of stones in it. Abanim, 4 rows of stones. Abanim, the first row is a ruby, a topaz. Yeah, we're precious stones. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And an emerald. And the second row is a turquoise, a sapphire, and a diamond. Yes, we are precious stones. And the third row is a jacinth, and an agate, and an amethyst. And the fourth row is a beryl, and a shufan, and a shuham, and a jasper. Oh, yes, we are precious stones. They are set in gold settings. And the stones, the Abanim, are according to the names of the sons of Yasha'al. I pray you understand who you are. 12 according to their names, like the engravings of a signet, each one with his own name, for the 12 tribes. Barak Yahuwah. Turn to Revelation chapter 4. Revelation chapter 4. Line upon line, precept upon precept. Here a little, there a little. Kazum, Revelation chapter 4. Kazum, Revelation chapter 4. Kazum, Revelation chapter 4. Verses 1 through 3. After this I looked and saw a door having been opened in the Shamayim. And the first voice which I heard was like a trumpet speaking with me, saying, Come up here, and I shall show you what has to take place after this. And immediately I came to be in the Rook and saw a throne set in the Shamayim, and one sat on the throne. Listen, listen. And he who sat there was like a jasper and a ruby stone in appearance. Has not Abba told you that he is the living stone? And if we are born of him, then we are precious stones just like him? Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And he wants to use this stone to crush the nations. One who sat on the throne, and he who sat there was like a jasper and a ruby stone in appearance. And there was a rainbow around the throne, like an emerald in appearance. Like an emerald in appearance. Muspaka, I'm going to pause right now for the YouTube audience because this is being recorded. I'm going to pause because I don't want these messages to go too long. I want to kind of keep them at a length in which it will keep people's attention. It will keep their attention. So I'm going to pause this. I'm going to stop this to my YouTube family. And then we're going to start part 3 of this. Part 3 of this momentarily. So to those of you who will watch this on YouTube later, shalom, shalom, and be sure to tune in to part 3. Barak Yahuwah.